Andrew Tate still claiming innocence, now going to trial in Romania. And my thoughts on that today on June 22nd, 2023 are this. Claiming innocence in the sense that he wants to frame him and his brother and his accomplices as wealthy people. Just another story of wealthy people being taken advantage of. You've heard it before. There's just some wealthy people, wealthy men, and they become targets. And that's how he wants to frame his innocence, that he's just another wealthy man who's a victim of orchestrated attacks against his character to extort his wealth. Unfortunately, my friends, nobody buys that Andrew Tate is a victim. The evidence is mounting increasingly against him that he's not a victim. It's a great way to flip the story. He's not a victim at all. He's the perpetrator. But what people are interested in is, okay, you're a wealthy man, Andrew Tate, who grew up poor, admittedly, in Luton, in a project. So, Andrew Tate, who recently has decided to become a superhero and a role model and a positive net good force in the world. We're curious, and the world is curious. Okay, you're a wealthy man, but where exactly did you get that money? Can you break it down for us year over year? Exactly what you were into and how exactly you went about making money. This is exactly where the crimes are. So, I know about dirty ways to make money. And I'm intentionally filming this video in our rust check shop. We've had a rust check shop or an oil spray business since the 90s. It was one of the first babies, one of the first businesses that my adopted dad wanted to get into. All these years later in 2023, we look at this as like, oh man, it's dirty. You know, it's not really a clean business, right? It was the same thing back in the 90s. It was never really a clean business. But if you could find somebody to do it who would do it well, then you could make some money. And building off the success of that, the banks looked at us with more favor over the years. Okay, well, they've had this established business. We're more likely to give them a credit or a loan to get into other things. And so I'm using this just as an example. Like, when people talk about getting into dirty businesses, I don't think, as far as legal businesses go, where you're not running a hustler's university or pimping hose degree or PhD, you're teaching people the Loverboy method on how to sell dick supplements. I don't know, aside from like maybe Garbage Man, if it gets much dirtier than spraying oil on people's vehicles. What I'm saying is I know about dirty ways to make money. And we can show you, okay, this is how much money the dirty business makes. And we can go backwards in time, anachronistically, and we can project backwards in time now in 2023 that, oh, no. I could wear a white suit every day and say, no. I mean, I've always owned $1 million home. And we've always had these rental properties all over. And we've always had 6 restaurants, this is all true. People who know me know that I'm saying these things that are true. We've always had this $3-4 million lakefront property. And we've always had commercial properties in town that we lease out. And we've always had this fleet of Audis and Lexus, and we've always had all these vehicles. We've always had that. And it's because we are independently wealthy. I could claim that. That would be Andrew Tate level of claiming nonsense of how I became wealthy. But my Twitter fam know, and people who follow me on YouTube know, and people who know me in real life know. This is where it all started. The dirty business. I used to clean cars as well. In the shop that we had, this is the second shop we had. The first shop that we had, I would have my area that I would clean cars basically right beside our old Hoist. And I don't just show this Hoist for an example. Like, this is literally the Hoist that we moved from our other shop. So I had to take this across town, this Hoist, and bring it here and install it. But back at the old shop, I would have a space on the other side where I would clean cars. And it is not a great way to make money. For me, at least, it's not a great way to make money in Niagara. Some turning points are, drunk Asian kids coming in on a Friday night at 4 p.m. saying, my friend vomited in my car, will you clean it up? That was a turning point for me, where I start basically talking to the customers like, you know what, why don't you do this yourself? So I had my moments and turning points in that business, and I don't clean people's cars anymore. I used to clean carpets. We had a business that would clean carpets. I had some good contracts, like commercial contracts, theater contracts. I even had hotel contracts. I would even go to your house in between all that. And what I'm saying is, it was a hard job, sweaty job. Anybody who cleans carpets in summertime know that it's a hard job. So we had a tire shop back in 2010. Anybody who knows me knows that. We had a tire shop at some point. And so we had a lot of businesses, legal and lawful businesses, that were ideas on how to make money, and they didn't work. None of those businesses included pimping hoes or setting up a cam girl operation in Romania and coercing girls through the lover boy method to endlessly work for you and split the profits whatever way you split it, whatever ratio, 50-50, 60-40, whatever ratio you did it, and then simultaneously getting into these hustler university scams, telling people how to copyright, and running casinos where you're exchanging dollars and getting the vending machines in these casinos while simultaneously working with the Romanian mafia, selling drugs when times got bad, and being in porn. So these are all things that Andrew Tate has done factually, and Tristan has been no better over the years. How many kids do these guys have? I know that Tristan maybe claims to have one, but not only that, but the evidence as far as the self-snitching on Andrew Tate is just immeasurable. It's an immeasurable amount of self-snitching. When the guy is like, I pimp the hose, and we have a pimping hose degree. Let me tell you, pimping hose 101 in this course on how to pimp a hoe and how to treat her like she's trash and take the money. And it's literally laying out the lover boy method of human trafficking. So I feel terrible for the girls. I feel terrible for the prosecutors and the legal counsel who has to go through this. But in the end, here's my thoughts. The character arc of Andrew Tate is now at the point where he wants to become a net positive for the world. And in his heart of hearts, he doesn't want to be remembered as the villain. He wants to be remembered as the hero who gave $25 million a year to charity and built wells and gave people food in foreign countries. And speaking as somebody who's had dirty businesses, who has also given money to charity, I understand that. We currently give money to charity. We were giving money to charity when we were running this dirty business. And at the end of the day, the people who are at the other end of charity, they don't care whether it's from dirty money, whether they care from it's, or they don't care whether it's from clean money. My kids sleep in $1 million house at night. They sleep sound in a 5-bedroom house, and we're only 4 people. So they sleep soundly at night. And do you think they care that dad had a dirty job or dad does dirty jobs? No, that's not where my priority was. My priority is giving them the things that they need by whatever legal ways possible, So I get it. The character arc of Andrew Tate is now on the other side, where he's like, I got kids now. I don't want to be remembered as this pimp, admitted pimp. He literally would admit that he was a pimp, taking advantage of people's daughters and people's sisters, of vulnerable women, sleeping with God knows how many people. And I'm not faulting him for being a playboy per se. That's not the problem, and I don't think being a playboy is the crime. Human trafficking is the crime, my friend. Rape is the crime. So, I understand that he wants to change the narrative. I'm an independently wealthy man. My brother and I are independently wealthy, and we're being taken advantage of and extorted by hookers. And maybe that's a story that he thinks people will believe. It's not going to work in court. And the statute of limitations has not expired on all these crimes. And yes, there are other people who have committed heinous crimes as well, which he likes to point out. What about this guy? What about that guy? What about Jeffrey Epstein? We're not talking about Jeffrey Epstein. We're talking about you right now, my friend. And be thankful that you're not a rapist, pimp, pornographer like Andrew Tate. Be thankful that you never got off on choking girls or hitting girls with belts during sex while claiming that it was just a mutual sex act. Be thankful that you're not the type of guy who wants your cam girls to tattoo their name on themselves as a way to brand them. Be thankful that you never wanted to be wealthy so bad that you were willing to traffic in the lives of other humans while feeding on the lowest common denominators of greed and wealth and lust. Be thankful that you would never stoop to those levels, and be thankful that you were never that desperate. I would like to drive a Bugatti as much as the next guy. I've worked on a lot of cars here. I've driven over 10,000 cars. Around the shop, in the shop. I don't own 10,000 cars, but I've driven more than most people you'll ever meet in your life. And I understand the psychology of a guy like Andrew Tate. I am thankful that I am not like him, nor do I know anybody like him. And he's not a role model. Especially the early version. You could say the later arc of Andrew Tate is he's claiming role model status, but he's never actually been a role model. You understand? All that promotional stuff that he's been doing has been, he's been paying to be promoted until the point where he was so toxic and such an eye grab or an eyeball magnet that people would seek him out to pay him for promotion. So in that sense, the rise of Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and company was calculated. And those are all my thoughts on June 22nd, 2023. I don't like making endless videos about them. I don't make any money from making videos, so there's no particular reason other than I have these thoughts and I feel like you guys should know. All right, take care. Follow me on Twitter at adamjosh.com. Bye-bye.